You are never alone. You are never alone.
The Bible says by God's own word that no one has ever seen God at any time. This is very clear. In John 1:18, it says, no man has seen God at any time. In 1 John, no man has seen God at any time. Even Jesus' own statement in John 5:37, Jesus says, and the Father himself which has sent me hath borne witness of me. And you have neither heard his voice nor seen his face at any time. And Jesus was standing right there amongst them. So had he been God, why would he say you have never seen God at any time? You understand? This is what I'm talking about. This is clear cut. You have never seen God. If he would have been God, he would have said, you're looking at God right now. You want to see God? Look at me. You have seen him. And there are some verses in the Bible someone can reiterate and say, okay, we said anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. You know, if you've seen the Father, if you've seen me, then you've seen the Father. Or, you know, I and the Father are one. You know, but if you read the context of those verses, rather than just taking a sentence out, if you read the context of 4 or 5 different verses, you will see that he was speaking of being one in purpose. Even in the one where he said, I and the Father are one, he was speaking about just as no one can pluck the children of God out of God's hand, no one can pluck them out of my hand, because I and my Father are one. Meaning that we are one in purpose. We have the same exact mission. I am coming as God's message bearer to humanity. We are one and the same in what we want from you. I am God's representative. Anything that he wants is my will. So if you understand them in that light explicitly, then you understand that Jesus said no man have seen God at any time. And this is also in the Quran. Moses asked to see God in the Quran, and he said, look at the mountain. If the mountain can see me, then if it can bear my sight, then you can see me. And we know that when God showed himself to the mountain, it crumbled into pieces. And then Moses repented and said, I'm sorry. God is not something that can come in the form of a human being. I mean, you cannot contain God's essence inside of a physical form. That is to lessen God beyond extent, to put him inside of a physical form. He's too great to be put in any form, in any diameters, in any parameters, in any dimensions, any box. You can't put God inside a box. This concept was not taught by Jesus or his disciples, nor was it believed in by his followers as the early followers of Christianity. As we see when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in Qumran, we see that the early Christians were still a part of Judaism. For instance, if you read the book of Acts, when Jesus Christ had departed from this earth, the disciples still daily attended the synagogue. They still daily went to the temple at Jerusalem and worshipped as the Jews worship, because this is what Jesus Christ brought. He brought the renewal of the laws of Moses. So if the disciples were running around teaching people that Jesus was God, they would have been banished out of the temple the day they walked in, or they would have started their own church. But neither did Jesus. Jesus went to the temple himself. He did not build his own church anywhere and say, worship me. He went to the temple and worshiped God in the same way that Moses worshiped God, the same way that Abraham worshiped God, the same way that David worshiped God, the same way that Zechariah worshiped God. You know, he did the exact same thing, and his disciples followed him. And if you look at the first, second century Christians, they did the same thing. The people of Qumran, the first disciple who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls, they were also a part of Judaism. They considered themselves practicing Jews who followed Jesus as their prophet. So we see that nothing had changed. This whole concept of Trinity did not come about until the 3rd century of the church, and it was not formulated as a doctrine that must be believed in until 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea, when all of the bishops and the scholars of Christianity, which started to reform into Christianity after Paul, came together and said, okay, this is a doctrine that we must believe in. And the first person to expound this doctrine was Paul, who never saw Jesus Christ himself, never walked with him, never talked to him, never saw him, never ate with him, never learned from him. It was something that he formulated off a vision that he said he had while he was on the road to Damascus to actually persecute Christians. So he was the first person to ever come up with this title of Christian, ever come up with this title of Trinity, ever come up with the Godship of Jesus Christ or only begotten Son. All of these things came with Paul the Apostle.